Apple sells iPhones for around $800, and roughly 56% of every dollar they collect is pure gross profit. That's higher than Coca-Cola, higher than Microsoft, higher than almost any company on earth. And yet the iPhone itself is barely a third of Apple's total business. Because the iPhone isn't really the product. The iPhone is the door. Here's what most people get wrong about Apple. They think Cupertino is in the business of selling beautiful hardware at premium prices, and that the profit comes from convincing you that aluminum and glass are worth $1,000. But that story misses the actual architecture of how Apple became the most valuable company in human history. The iPhone is not where the money lives. The iPhone is where the money starts. It's the entry ticket into something far more valuable, something that keeps 91% of iPhone users buying another iPhone when their current one dies. That number should terrify every competitor on Earth because it means Apple doesn't need to win new customers anymore. They just need to keep the ones they already have trapped. Let's start with the margins, because that's where the real story hides. When Apple sells you an iPhone, they keep about 38% as gross profit after manufacturing and components. That's excellent by any standard, but it's not exceptional. Coca-Cola does similar numbers on sugar water, but here's where Apple's genius reveals itself. Their services segment, which includes the App Store, iCloud storage, AppleCare, Apple Music, and Apple TV Plus, operates at a 70% gross margin. And that segment now generates over $100 billion in annual revenue, which means Apple is printing roughly $70 billion in gross profit from services alone. The phone that costs them $400 to build is not the prize. The phone is the key that unlocks decades of recurring revenue at profit margins that would make a software company jealous. But margins only explain why Apple wants to keep you. They don't explain why you stay. And this is where the architecture becomes truly elegant, because Apple has engineered something more powerful than product quality. They've engineered the cost of leaving. Think about what happens when you switch from Android to iPhone. You transfer your contacts, download your apps again, and within a day you're operational. Now think about what happens when you try to leave Apple. Your iMessage threads turn green, which in American high schools is genuinely a social status marker that teenagers talk about. Your AirPods lose their magical instant pairing and become just regular Bluetooth headphones. Your Apple Watch becomes a very expensive paperweight because it literally cannot function with Android. Your family's shared iCloud photo library stays behind. Your FaceTime calls with your parents require them to download a new app they don't understand. The financial cost of switching might be $200 in accessories that don't transfer, but the psychological cost, the social cost, the family cost, that's where the real lock-in lives. Quick note before we continue. If you're finding this breakdown useful, consider hitting subscribe. We release one deep dive every week, taking apart the hidden mechanics behind the world's most successful businesses. No hype, no hustle culture, just the actual blueprints that separate trillion-dollar companies from everyone else. The subscribe button is free, and it helps the channel more than you might think. We're building something here for people who want to understand how money actually works. And if that sounds interesting, you should probably stick around. Now let's talk about families, because this is where Apple's retention math becomes almost unfair. According to internal industry research, 87% of American families where at least one parent owns an iPhone end up with iPhones for every child in the household. This isn't about brand preference, it's about communication infrastructure. When your family group chat is on iMessage, when your shared photo albums live in iCloud, when FaceTime is how grandma sees the grandchildren, the iPhone stops being a consumer electronics choice and starts being a family membership. You're not buying a phone anymore. You're maintaining access to the people you love. And Apple knows this, which is why family sharing exists, which is why their parental controls are so good, which is why the Apple ecosystem rewards families who stay together with shared subscriptions and seamless device handoffs between generations. Once you understand the lock-in, the App Store economics become almost grotesque in their elegance. Apple takes a 30% commission on virtually every digital transaction that happens on iOS. Games, subscriptions, in-app purchases, all of it. And because Apple controls the operating system, there is no alternative. You cannot sideload apps on iPhone. You cannot use a different payment processor. If you want to reach the billion people carrying iPhones, you pay the toll. Last year, the App Store facilitated over $100 billion in transactions, which means Apple collected roughly $30 billion in pure rent. They didn't build the apps. They didn't market the apps. They didn't provide customer support for the apps. They just owned the door that every developer must walk through, and they charged 30% for the privilege of entry. So here's the real business model. Stripped of all the marketing poetry, Apple builds hardware that serves as physical keys to a digital ecosystem designed around switching costs. The more Apple products you own, the more expensive it becomes to leave. The more family members you bring in, the more socially impossible departure becomes. And every year you stay, Apple extracts recurring revenue through services, upgrades, and accessories that only work perfectly within their walled garden. The iPhone isn't a phone. It's a subscription you didn't realize you were signing, with a cancellation fee measured in relationships rather than dollars. But here's the detail that makes Apple's model truly alien compared to normal businesses. They've essentially eliminated marketing costs for new customer acquisition. Think about how you learned about the latest iPhone. Did you see an advertisement, or did you see your friend pull one out of their pocket? Apple's users are the marketing department. Every green bubble in a group chat is an advertisement for switching. Every airdrop that fails because someone has Android is a reminder of who belongs and who doesn't. The social pressure to join the ecosystem is generated by the ecosystem itself, which means Apple's customer acquisition cost approaches zero for their highest value customers. When you calculate lifetime value somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 over 15 years per user against a customer acquisition cost near zero, you begin to understand how Apple became the first company to reach $3 trillion in market capitalization. And this pattern isn't unique to Apple. Tesla locks you in with the supercharger network and family charging accounts. Nintendo sells consoles because your friends own the same one. WhatsApp keeps you because your entire family's already there. The product is never really the product. The product is the cost of leaving the people who use it. The best products don't lock you in with technology. They lock you in with people you love. That's the blueprint Apple perfected, and that's why nobody can compete. Next Thursday, we look at a company that makes you wait years to buy something they could ship tomorrow. Subscribers know what's coming. Hit subscribe. Every brand hides a blueprint, and we help you read it.